Craters of the Moon, Centennial. 1924 to 2024. Nature Journaling on the Moon with Karen Jacobsen and Mary Arnold.
Hi, and welcome back. I'm Karen Jacobsen.
And I'm Mary Arnold. And as you, maybe if you saw our first video, we're two of the artists in residence for the Craters of the Moon Centennial year. And welcome back to Nature Journaling on the Moon.
This time we're going to talk a little bit about what we carry to do our nature journaling. What does our kit include, and why we bring what we do.
So the very minimum is something to write on and something to write with, isn't it, Karen?
It is. But more ideally, you would have some kind of a sketchbook. Now, there's a couple different kinds of sketchbooks. I use a variety of things. This one is a little large, but I like it because I can put a lot of information on the same page. But something about these spiral bound notebooks that you might not think about, they're convenient, but the pages do come out, so that's happened. So I'm now clipping it together. And it also moves back and forth. It's got a lot of wiggle room on the pages, and it will tend to blur. If you're using graphite and pencil, it will smudge the pages underneath. So this is a hardbound book, which I really like. I use this for some travel stuff, and I can do pencil sketching and watercolor in it. I can just move between where I'm observing, and the pages don't wiggle. It's a sewn book, and it's more hardbound. It's got a handy little rubber band I can close here, and best of all, which you can do on any of your journals, you've got a little pencil holder here, so you don't have to root around for it or figure out if it fell out from behind your ear or which pocket you put your pencil in. It's right here on your nature journal, and you're ready to go.
And I prefer a different format that's oblong. And I like the oblong ones because if I am capturing animal behavior, sometimes I want to make it like a little cartoon, like a little comic book where I can have little panes of what's going on. This is spiral bound, but the nice thing about this is the papers are not perforated, so they don't pop out. They can still rip out if you're hard on it, but they don't pop out. Okay, so something to write with, and this is up to personal preference. I usually have at least a pencil, and
mechanical pencils are great.
Yes, because you don't have to sharpen them. And then an ink pen. I like my ink pen, and I like to actually draw with the pencil and then go over it with the ink pen.
Yeah, I have this pen, which is, I have put sepia ink in it, and it is actually like a calligraphy point on here.
So is that more like a brown color?
It's more of a brown color, and I can smudge it, and I can use a watercolor brush with it and just give a tonal thing. Also, one of my new favorite tools is, it's an aquarelle pencil, and you can draw with it and then use water over it and create tonal drawings.
Another writing implement are those thin-tipped Sharpie markers that are really fun to have around. And as she mentioned, I actually keep a fistful of watercolor pencils. And in a future video, we're going to show you how to use some of these tools, but these are not colored pencils. These are watercolor pencils. So there is a difference. Whereas if you use colored pencils, they do not activate with water. The watercolor will activate with water, and you get a lot of fun effects where you can...
Is that all with watercolor pencils?
These are all with watercolor pencils.
That's great. That's gorgeous.
This is actually done with watercolor paint. So you can use you can get little tiny flip kits that have a few colors of watercolor paint that you take into the field as well.
Or
a full set.
Or you can use something. This is my paint palette that I take pretty much everywhere with me. It goes overseas, and it's in a metal box, so the paint likes to stick to it. And the plastic pans, they don't like to stick as much and will fall out.
And if you're taking that, you can always take paint brushes and find some water. But I love these. They're called paint pens, and they're watercolor paint pens. You fill the receptacle with water, and then you can just paint with this over your colors. So if I were to go into this, make sure you can see, I can reactivate this watercolor with the water that's in here. I didn't have to go get water. I didn't have to dip it in a jar of water.
I'm more old school. I like my fan of brushes. But I need to learn how to use one of those.
So another thing would be to consider what you might carry your stuff in. Here is like a little snap top school desk, or you can be simple and just have a gallon baggie.
The gallon Ziplocs. Also, if you have a smaller journal and the weather's bad, you can always stick your journal in your bag and protect it from the weather.
And I carry a kitchen-sized trash bag. You can do the same thing with it. You can use it to set it on the ground so that if you're going to sit in the dirt, you don't get wet. And one thing you can do is if you're in a location that's, you find that somebody had put trash there, you can actually leave it better than what you found it. You take your trash can when you're done. I always carry some plastic gloves, so if I'm going to pick up trash, I don't want germs, so I use the gloves, I pick it up, and I take it out. And so that makes us not only nature journalists, but good conservationists.
Good point.
Oh, go ahead.
Some of the other things that we like to bring with us are like binoculars or a small magnifying glass and cheat sheets of things like bird anatomy or bird identification.
So another thing I keep is a little small ruler, just so that I can, if I want to measure something, and then make notes of that in my journal as to what something the size was. I do keep an eraser, so sometimes I want to erase what I've drawn. I also keep a cheap pencil sharpener in case one of my watercolor pencils, I want to sharpen it. I've probably mentioned that already.
And you sharpen it in a bag.
Yes.
Keep it in a bag.
Keep it in the bag and haul it out.
Pencil turds go in the bag.
Yeah. So thank you for sticking with us today. Our next video is we're gonna dive in and start getting going on nature journaling, and we can't wait. So thank you again.
Come visit Craters of the Moon for the Centennial celebration.